The homeless girl the society ignored won the CEO's heart. My name is Lindsay Williams, and this is my love story. But before I tell you about the night that changed everything, kindly click on the subscribe button and drop a comment from where you are watching from. You need to understand how I ended up on those streets in the first place. I had it all once. I was Miss Chicago. Twice. I had a corner office at a PR firm, an apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows, and a future so bright it hurt to look at. Then came the phone call that changed everything. Ms. Williams, this is Dr. Patel from Northwestern Memorial. Your father's been admitted. You need to come right away. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 6 months, maybe a year. My father, the man who worked 3 jobs to put me through college, who cried when I won my first pageant, was dying. I made a choice that day. I quit my job, broke my lease, moved back home to take care of him. My savings became a countdown timer, ticking away with every hospital bill, every treatment insurance wouldn't cover. I sold my furniture, my jewelry, even my pageant crowns melted down for the gold they were made of. My father lasted 14 months. His last words were, "I'm sorry," as if loving him had been a burden. After the funeral, I was $43,000 in debt. I tried to bounce back, but you can't just walk back into a career you abandoned. The gap on my resume screamed unreliable. I went from corner offices to not even getting interviews. First, I lost the house, then my car, then I was couch surfing until I'd exhausted everyone's patience. The first night I slept outside, I cried until I thought I'd die. By the third night, I'd found the subway grate on 3rd and Michigan, the one that blew warm air from the tunnels below. That became home. The scars on my face? Frostbite from my first winter on the streets. The ER doctor told me they'd fade but never fully disappear. Consider them badges of survival, she said. But you know what the worst part was? It wasn't the hunger or the cold. It was the invisibility. I used to be someone who turned heads. Now I watched this man's humiliation unfold, and something inside me stirred. When I saw that ring glittering in the freezing water, I knew I had to return it to him. I had no idea that one act of kindness would change both our lives forever. I reached into that freezing water with my dirty, scarred hand and pulled out the ring. The cold bit into my skin like teeth, but I barely felt it. I was used to being cold. Kevin was starting to walk away, his shoulders slumped in defeat. I stood up and walked toward him. People automatically moved aside, their faces showing disgust or that careful, blank expression people use when they don't want to acknowledge your existence. "Sir," I said, my voice rough from disuse, "you dropped this." I extended my scarred hand, the ring resting in my palm. Kevin turned, his eyes unfocused, lost somewhere in his own pain. Then his gaze fell to the ring. "Keep it," he said flatly. "Sell it. I don't care anymore." A woman in the crowd sneered at me. "Just give him back the ring." "I'm not here to take anything," I said firmly. "I'm just trying to return what's his." Kevin finally really looked at me. "You? You came back with the ring? It's yours. You should have it." "I don't need your thank you," I said, pressing the ring into his hand. "But I do need you to stop blocking the subway grate. It's the only warm spot on the street." For the first time since the proposal, something other than pain crossed his face. Surprise. He stepped aside, and I moved past him back to my spot. I thought that would be the end of it. But then I heard footsteps. Kevin had followed me. "She just rejected me in front of everyone," Kevin said, his voice barely above a whisper. I looked up at him. You have no idea what it's like to be humiliated like this, in public. Something in me snapped, not in anger, but the diner smelled like burnt coffee and hope. When we walked in together, the executive and the homeless woman, every head turned. The waitress's smile froze. "Table for two," Kevin said with authority. I stared at the menu like it was written in a foreign language. It had been so long since I'd had choices about food. "Order whatever you want," Kevin said. "Everything." Raspberry pie or peach. I can't decide." "Bring her both," Kevin said. "And the chicken dinner, soup, eggs, toast, hash browns, coffee, orange juice." When the waitress left, Kevin leaned back. "So tell me, Lindsay Williams, how does someone go from having a name to being invisible?" And so I told him about my father, about the medical bills, about the slow descent from corner office to cardboard sign. The food started arriving. First the soup, cream of chicken, steaming and golden. That first taste was indescribable. Then came the pies, the chicken dinner, the breakfast plate with perfect eggs. I ate carefully at first, trying to maintain dignity, but hunger won. I hadn't eaten in 2 days. Halfway through, I got pie filling on my cheek. Kevin reached across the table, his thumb brushing it away. Our eyes met. Time stopped. His thumb was warm against my cold, scarred skin. His eyes were filled with something I couldn't name. "Sorry," he said, pulling his hand back. "You had a little—" "It's just pie," I managed. "Would you like some more?" he asked finally. "Why are you doing this?" the question burst out. "You don't know me. Why you care?" Kevin was quiet for a moment. "Because you're the first person in 10 years who's told me the truth, who saw past the money to the man underneath. That's worth more than all the flattery in the world." As I continued eating, Kevin watched me thoughtfully. Then he spoke. "I have a proposition for you. Veronica's been with Marcus Chen, my CFO, for months. They're celebrating at some restaurant right now. I have a business dinner tomorrow night. She'll be there with him. I need her to see I've moved on." I understood immediately. "You want me to be your fake girlfriend, make her jealous. I want her to regret everything, and I'll pay you. Enough for first and last month's rent, enough to start over." My pride screamed at me to refuse. My empty stomach whispered something else. "Deal," I said, "but I picked the restaurant." The next evening, Kevin brought me to his penthouse. It smelled of money and loneliness. He told me to shower and that we ended up back on the sidewalk where it all began. The Grand Meridian's golden lights spilling across the wet pavement. The puddle where Veronica had thrown the ring still gleamed with ice. "It took me half a day to fall in love with you," Kevin said. "Half a day to realize I've been living in a glass tower, looking at everything through bulletproof windows." I wrapped my arms around myself, the dress suddenly too thin against the February wind. "Kevin, I'm still the homeless woman who asks you for money. Tomorrow morning you'll be a girl with a friend, a place to stay." His hand cupped my scarred cheek. "And maybe a boyfriend, if you'll have me." Tears burned behind my eyes. "I don't understand." Kevin pulled the ring from his pocket, the same diamond that had started everything. "I finally understand why I had to buy this ring. It was never meant for her." He knelt on the cold pavement, right there in that puddle, the way he should have from the beginning. "Lindsay Williams, will you—" "Yes," I breathed, pulling him up into a kiss that tasted like second chances and truth. This is how I met my future husband. Not in a fairy tale, not in a boardroom, but in the one place where both of us were finally completely real. Kevin didn't just give me a home that night, he gave me back my dignity. And I gave him something he'd never had, someone who loved him for who he was, not what he could provide. We've been fighting for each other ever since. And every year on our anniversary, we go back to that subway grate on 3rd and Michigan. We bring food, blankets, and hope to the people society has made invisible. Because we both know what it's like to be seen for the first time. My name is Lindsay